Welcome, one and all, to the mystical world of Filbar. Adventures abound throughout this realm, and we appreciate the opportunity to regale you with some stories from these trails. These accounts are all based on actual RPG experiences that occurred within Adventures in Filbar. Some of these tales may be for mature audiences, while others may be for very immature audiences. We now present the sage Mikas Tumo from Tamel, also known as the Bard of Filbar.
Welcome to session Fartook-117. The last time we were with our heroes, they discovered that Cabe was missing. Clues led them to the dock, where a ship called the Folly was attempting to quickly exit the area despite repeated requests to hold. Cabe smashed through the container that he was being held in, and the rest of the group spotted the disturbance. Thinking quickly by Lady Irena led her to use a web spell, and the vessel ended up being slung into the shoreline. A brief fight and the appearance of the guards aided in the rescue of their compatriot. Additional noises have led the group to discovering 6 other prisoners. They had been taken to inns and rooms were obtained for them. Some members of the party went out for clothing to replace their slave rags. We rejoined the group at the dock, speaking with a ship's captain. "Look, friend," stated Bulger, "I'm just saying, we're stuck here until tomorrow sometime because we've got to go to trial. We're just asking that you wait for us until we're done, and we will reward you handsomely for your time." The sea captain stood on the dock and presented an alternative choice for them, being on time or finding another means of travel. He explained that he would be on a tight schedule and they would have to leave just before noon and no later. If the party was there, they could book passage. If not, tough. Bulger thanked him for the option, and the group left the dock area and discussed their options. Sister Elaine pointed out that they would be at the mercy of the judge in the morning. Hopefully, it all goes smoothly and they can take the boat. Otherwise, we'll be stuck in town for several more days. The next morning, the heroes and the former captives went to the Ministry of Justice to have their case heard. It was well after mid-morning that the magistrate arrived and began to hear the docket. The party had mixed feelings upon discovering their case would be third and sat anxiously through the first 2 cases. As the magistrate called their case, each rushed forward, causing the guards to bristle and the judge to look angry at being bum-rushed. "Am I keeping you from something?" he queried over a large sheaf of papers. Cabe spoke abruptly before the others could, with a, "Yes, actually you are. You see," but was cut off quickly as Sister Elaine stepped in front of the group. As the diplomat, the others quickly deferred to her as the leader in this arena. "My apologies, Your Honor," she began. "We are bound for Phoenix and have arranged passage on a vessel, but they wish to leave sooner than later." The judge smirked, but nodded in understanding. The 2 slavers were brought in with manacles on their wrists and ankles, and the judge began the trial. The 2 criminals began a long dissertation proclaiming their innocence and worked their way through a variety of bogus and verbose claims, including one that had Fargus Stoutheart being responsible for the whole thing. With time slipping by, the group's anger grew. When confronted with the accusation that he was the culprit, the ranger could take no more and blew up. A wild string of profanities and threats blurted out of his mouth and caused the guards to grip their weapons and the slavers to cower in fear. "Enough!" yelled the magistrate, who turned to the former captives. The man pointedly asked the prisoners if Fargus was responsible, and each declared that they had only just met him after being freed. With time waning, Lady Irena stepped up. "If it pleases Your Honor, may I speak on behalf of our group to expedite the issue?" A nod followed, and she gave a summarized account of the issue and the steps taken to free Cabe. The speech was without passion, but heavy on facts. The judge appeared to be unmoved and looked at everyone else, asking if that about covered it. Each member quickly replied, "Yes, sir," and the judge asked the former slaves if they felt the party was innocent. Each of the 6 replied that there was no doubt that the 2 in custody were solely responsible. The magistrate ordered both men to be thrown back into the dungeon and reported that a sentencing would transpire tomorrow. The heroes groaned, but the judge stopped them. You 5, however, are free to go, and hopefully catch your ride. Dismissed. The party bowed politely before running out of the chamber and through the streets in an effort to catch the ship before it departed. As they reached the docks, they were crestfallen, as the vessel had already departed and was in the bay heading north. Dropping their belongings in disgust, Bolger and Fargus stomped around angrily. The gnome then headed off to speak with the dockmaster again about when the next ship was going to be available. The magistrate and a pair of guards approached and noticed that they were still present, having missed the boat. The group was polite and confirmed his suspicion. He then inquired if they were the group that had traveled through Debut Woods a few days earlier. Sister Elaine confirmed the question and inquired if that was a problem. The judge smiled and stated no. He was very happy to meet them. He held up 2 pieces of paper and explained that one of them was from a merchant that they had saved, and it was his niece, and he was very grateful for their service in helping her. Fargus shrugged it off as no big deal, but the man would have none of that, brushing off, stating that they should be justly rewarded. He held aloft a second parchment and handed it to Cabe, who took it gingerly and looked it over. Puzzled, he looked at the man, who began to explain. The 2 individuals that attempted to take you will not be seeing the light of day for a very long time. We in Haddonfield do not like slavers at all. As a result of their extended stay, they will not be needing their vessel that was most likely purchased via human trafficking. I am hereby turning it over to you, their last victim. As I understand, you would have been quite generous to the others, feeding them, clothing them, and finding them lodging. Sister Elaine began to understand, but inquired if she was correct on her thoughts. The judge confirmed and announced that the Folly was now property of Cabe Silvertongue and his associates for their heroic deeds. Bolger returned to the group and greeted the judge and noticed his friends' faces. Puzzled, he asked them why they were so slack-jawed, until the magistrate explained the situation. "We got this ship?" he exclaimed jubilantly. "That is terrific news. Now we don't have to wait for anyone." The judge thanked each one again, and Cabe held the ownership paper firmly. The group quickly realized that only Bolger was a sailor, and there would be a slight learning curve on piloting the craft. The squat gnome reminded them that this was a gnomish vessel, and it would not take much work to pilot. The party climbed aboard the new vessel and began to take inventory of supplies that they would need before leaving town. It was then that Lady Irena noticed Henrik, one of the former prisoners, staring at them from the dock. Approaching him, he thanked her again for all their help and wished them well. Noting the look in his eye, she asked if he would be okay. He confirmed that he was fine and pointed out that the vessel was his only home he had known for quite a while. Pondering a moment, she then asked if he had any plans for his future, to which he replied, "No." She thought for a moment and then said, "You know, we could probably use another experienced sailor. Care for a job opportunity?" The man brightly smiled and nodded his head quickly. "Yes, ma'am. Ship's mate Henrik, reporting for duty." He waved her head to the side, and he moved quickly down the dock to the ship, where the others quickly helped him climb aboard.
We close out this episode now and give you our thanks for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Bards Podcast. For everyone in Adventures of Filbar, thanks for listening.